Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He usually speaks to us from Arizona, but your Eastern U.S. road trip continues. Where are you today, Mark?
The same place, Long Island, New York, and enjoying the Atlantic Ocean. Taking walks along the boardwalk here. Not Atlantic City, but Atlantic Beach, New York, but very nice. Different weather than Phoenix, that's for sure.
Mark, do you still have a special offer for our listeners?
Yeah, and I certainly would encourage listeners to take advantage of it. We had a spectacular week this week in our short-term recommendations, covering many of these, or a couple of these short squeeze stocks, so to speak, the ones that have been running up significantly and catching almost 90% of the press attention this week. If you turn on CNBC, for example, all you hear about is AMC theaters and so forth, which had a tremendous move in which we traded. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So it's VRTrader.com, and if you want a special 50% off, and that's for any of our newsletters. When you go to the website and you hit the newsletter of your choice, in the promo code section of the order form, enter 2021 half off. That's 2021 HALFOFF, and you get 50% off of that newsletter, or all the newsletters if you want to sign up for all of them.
So these short squeezes going on, what's the strategy there?
You know, you got to just trade them, and I love the action. You know, the quote-unquote street doesn't like them, sort of breaks the rules a little bit. They don't understand that the small investor, you know, is out there and could possibly affect the market, and it's supposed to be supposedly a game only for the big boys, but the big boys got hurt here, and many were short, and focusing on one particular situation, AMC, you know, obviously the company stock had problems because of COVID and the theater business, but apparently they've raised a lot of money and are turning the company around, and this little baby, you know, went from the teens, 16, 17 to $72 this week. And we were in it from about $20, and I think it was $27, and, you know, ran all the way up to 72. When it started pulling back, we sold it, and during the day today, we traded it twice, I think for anywhere from 10 to 15 points each way. And it was, you know, we had a good day, so I love the action in it. The volatility is what I really enjoy, but the story, it's just great. I mean, there's so many stocks, one local to Vancouver, Sundial, which is a, SNDL, which is a, cannabis company. The stock was as high as nearly $4 in the last 6 or 8 months on a short squeeze, came all the way down to 65 cents, and this last couple trading days ran up to $1.50. It only trades about 500-600 million shares a day. Certainly catches our attention, so we traded that as well. There's a whole list of names out there of stocks that were in this category. BlackBerry had run, other ticker symbols like PETS, PETS, KOSS, were all these short squeezes. Even a stock that we're trading called Naked, NAKD, which is in the old Fredericks of Hollywood business. The stock used to be, you know, way up there. I don't know the exact price. I'm guessing it was $50 stock at one point. You know, got down to like 50 cents, and it's, you know, trading today. It traded about 414 million shares. It's up a little bit. It ran, you know, basically from like 70 cents to $1, which is a huge percentage move with that kind of volume, and attracts a lot of the small players. So we're having a lot of fun with that, Jim, and I'm glad you brought it up because, you know, ultimately the people come to the website, they're trying to make some money. regardless of my views of the geocosmic and all the other stuff that I'm involved in, I try to be as diversified in my thinking and open in my thinking as possible, because it's a wild world out there, and we have come to expect the unexpected from the COVID on, and you couldn't make up a story, or even create the fictional story of what we've experienced this past year. So, despite all that, we try to focus on some stocks and make some money. And when you get some action like this, it makes the business even more fun and exciting. And speaking of fun and exciting, the crypto world too has been fun and exciting with names like Mark Cuban and Elon Musk getting involved in one particular stock, one particular coin called Dogecoin, more amusingly referred to as the doggy coin, and all the beautiful little dog pictures that are appearing up on the internet with the dog sitting with Elon Musk in a spaceship ready to blast to the moon, comparing the price of the coin to where they think it ultimately will end up, the upside. So that's created a lot of action. We have a blockchain letter, comes out every Friday, and some of the names that we like we're going to put in there. And I think there's a huge, huge future. We can spend a lot more time on this discussion. We did a little bit last week, but it's still early on. And I'm not talking about just Bitcoin. I'm talking about all the other coins out there. There's about 7,000 of them. I know it's hard to believe, just on the coins alone. Forget the tokens and all the other stuff that's out there as well. But just a lot of investment opportunity. My street sources are telling me that a lot of investment managers are selling stocks and moving into the crypto investment world. They see the much greater potential. For example, this Dogecoin, doggy coin as I refer to, DOGE, I think it had a 5,000% gain or something to that nature here in the last 6 months or so, from where it went to where it is now. I mean, you're never going to see that in the stock. So this is attracting a lot of interest on the part of both individual investors, traders, and now institutional people. And you will see at some point ETFs that will invest in a broad range of crypto coins, so you'll be diversified. So that's something we should be watching for. But at the moment, we only have two. One is the GPTC, which tracks the Bitcoin, and ETHE, which tracks the Ethereum. But a lot more is coming. So between the short squeeze of the small stocks this past week, the cryptos, fun week in the market, Jim.
Now, China seems to be kind of, I don't want to disparage people with mental illness, but kind of schizophrenic when it comes to cryptocurrency. Last April, they banned Bitcoin. Then all of a sudden they encouraged people to buy it. Then again, they're against it. Do you think governments are going to try to ban cryptocurrencies because they don't control it?
They won't be successful. It's like saying they're going to try to stop us from owning gold and silver. Even when Roosevelt did that back in the 1930s, many people didn't turn in their gold or shipped it overseas to keep it from government hands. No one's going to get the gold if they try to go after it, and they're not going to be able to stop the crypto. They'd have to shut down the internet altogether. There's distrust of currencies. The U.S. dollar in particular, the way it's headed, then with the continued printing of money, it's going to be, I guess, that last horse in the glue factory that's going to survive. So, Canadian dollar's been doing better because it's a commodity-based currency, and there's so much demand for commodities right now with just the demand for, infrastructure and everything else that's being funded. But, the bottom line is, the governments could say what they want. I think it's more, what's the old expression, jawboning? We used to write about this for decades. The Federal Reserve didn't want to make a move with interest rates or some other action, and they would threaten it or talk about it, and the markets would move. So I think what they're trying to do is perhaps keep people out of the market because they're out accumulating the coins themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if China, in fact, there's a huge dam in China, and I don't have all the details, that provides a lot of power for the mining of Bitcoin. And I wish I had all that information in front of me, though I do know a little bit about it. So there was a lot of discussion about that dam. If that went down, they would lose a lot of the power they needed, because Bitcoin, unfortunately, is different than the other cryptos. You have to go through this expensive mining process, meaning you need a lot of electricity, running a lot of computers to find and pick up a Bitcoin and accumulate it, where this is not the case with some of these other newer coins. So I read somewhere that the power that it takes to run the country of Argentina is what it needs to mine Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin ultimately, I think, is going to go the way of the dodo at some point because of that energy cost in mining and obtaining the coin, which is sort of crazy when you think about it. And, I'm not a programmer. I'm not technically oriented enough to explain how that's all done, but apparently that is the case. So, if China is involved, and one of the big mining operations is in China, near this famous dam, which I don't have the name for you at the moment, I don't think they would be disinterested in getting rid of that Bitcoin, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've accumulated a lot of it, much as they've accumulated gold and other assets around the world. So I think it's jawboning, Jim, and I don't think the coins are going anywhere. They're going to get more and more popular. The word I have on the street is money managers, as I mentioned a few moments ago, are moving out of stocks into crypto. They see huge gains in the months and years ahead, and as either replacement for currency, and also as a method of exchange, which apparently with the blockchain technology allows us to do a lot more things, a lot more efficiently, a lot more safely. So check out that blockchain letter, folks. There's a lot of opportunity in these crypto coins.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, oil prices seem to be on a tear, even though everybody's talking about electric vehicles in the near future.
Yeah, you got to scratch your head on that one, huh, Jim? They shut down the Keystone pipeline, so that you would think right away that there would be a little bit of a shortage, and I guess that could be part of it, maybe. You've got potential conflict all over the world. For an Iranian ship, just one of their biggest ships was mysteriously sunk or blew up or something going on over there. The threat of, conflict with China and Taiwan. There's no peace, between Israel and Iran, and there could be more going on there. And, it could be supply chain problems and delivering oil. The way I see it, most of the vehicles and, most of our industry still needs, oil to run. And even though there's talk about transitioning, that could take decades. Meanwhile, we talked about this before as well. If you want to transition to green energy, you need oil-based products to do that. The windmills, solar panels, all this other good stuff, the components come from crude oil or are made from crude oil, distillate. So there's definite need for it, and it's not going to change so quick, and prices are moving up.
Well, there's also the length. I would also say there will be the length of transition. Look how long it took us to go from using horses to get around to using gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles. The German army in the Second World War still relied on horses mostly to tow its artillery and to supply its troops.
Amazing, right? So it's not going to happen so fast, and the production of these vehicles may not occur as fast as people want because of the supply chain issues. Just getting things produced now seems to be slowed down for whether it's all related to the COVID situation or not. But that little bugger is not going away so fast. Apparently, it's still out there, still causing problems, coming back in different mutations. We don't know if the vaccines really are going to be effective or not, or the vaccines themselves could be deadly to the people that took them. there's so many variables out there which could change business and economy and transportation. So anyway, the charts say oil's going up. There was a big washout with the March sell-off last year where crude oil went to negative prices there for a few moments for the first time in history. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see crude oil well over $100 a barrel and maybe even much higher than that in the months and years ahead. So, we're trading them on the long side here. We've got one of our ETFs we traded today, which was ETF for crude oil. So it's in play until it's not.
The Pentagon, why is it going so public with UFOs now? For the longest time, the U.S. military didn't want you to even mention the word UFO.
Great question. They're seriously talking about it. There's a great article, and I encourage all our listeners who think that somehow they're listening to Coast instead of the Howe Street radio program. But it's on May 10th. It's a New Yorker magazine. It's one of the most extensive articles ever written. We reprinted it in our newsletter. I mean, it must be, 10 pages long, going into all the detail of what's been happening. And, there's, I could speculate as well as you can. Some say that it could be just a way of the military obtaining more funding for military programs that they may have trouble getting otherwise by scaring people and saying there's something in the skies that we don't know is there. They can go to Congress or other foreign governments could go to their funding bodies and, we need more money for defense because we don't know what's up there and we want to spend more money and so forth. And I know we've been long the aerospace stocks, the ETFs, because they've been looking like they're way undervalued, and there's been, definite demand for those aerospace company products. So the military is out there doing something with it. And, the other story is that there really is something in the skies that we don't understand. And they're trying to prepare us, ahead of time. And the good question is, are they going to? Is it going to go beyond this? Is there going to be an incident where suddenly something really appears in the sky worldwide and scares the dickens out of everybody? And it could be one of our own craft that's put up there just to scare everybody, or maybe an alien craft that we have no control over. But there's something coming, and the fact that they're so blatant and strong about it, and the fact that defense aerospace stocks are doing well. That you've got SpaceX sending satellites up, and constant talk about putting a base on Mars and getting the people off the planet, that we need to get to another place because we're not going to last forever here on Earth. I know Elon Musk keeps talking about that. There's something cooking, and we could spend hours speculating about stuff. I have my own theories. I've said this before on the air. I think we're much further ahead technologically than the government has been telling us, or even industry has been telling us. And my belief personally is we have advanced craft that are so far advanced that nobody would believe it. Maybe they believe it if they see some of these videos. So we've developed something that's just extraordinary, and we may be traveling to places in the universe already that they don't want to tell us about. That's all possible. Now, whether these are alien craft or things that we've developed, but the military's talking about it, so there's something going on, Jim. It should be really interesting how it all unfolds. We all know, who've been following the subject for decades, there's been a huge cover-up. And the question is, will the cover come off, or whether they're just teasing us? So, interesting times.
Well, there's also talk it could be drones in action, and of course, anything that you don't understand in the sky is called a UFO. In the Second World War, they called them Foo Fighters, as in fake, as
right.
in faux fur.
And what were the Foo Fighters? Were they Nazi devices that were sent up to annoy the Allied planes, or were they really alien craft? What were these things? And there's a lot of talk that the Nazis, the Germans, had very advanced technology, way beyond that. Many of which have we brought over all the German scientists after the war, including Werner von Braun and all the other Nazis. We gave them a free pass to get our U.S. space program underway. So we know the Nazis are way ahead technologically. So those Foo Fighters, maybe they were just things created by the Nazis. They were not necessarily alien that many of the believers in alien technology would suggest. It's really an interesting discussion.
Do we have any cosmic events about to happen that we should pay attention to that might affect the markets?
Yeah, we have a solar eclipse on June 10th, and people sort of scoff at that. What's that going to do? Well, that's a pretty big planetary event, and just the moon itself is a planetary event, and we discount that. And I write about this all the time, about the position of the moon, how it affects not only the tides but the human emotions and the markets, and how you can correlate highs and lows in the market where the position of the moon is. So on and on and on. I have a lot of good friends who do astrology and correlate the planets as well. So I don't dismiss any of this, because I've seen things actually work out that were predicted, and there were correlations based on the forces that are outside the Earth's atmosphere. So there's things that we think we're just geocentric here, like we're the whole world and nothing else can affect us, and this is it. It's almost like we're in the Middle Ages. I mean, the position of the planets, the sun. Back in our newsletter, we track the solar flares because they do have an effect on the planet, and we talked about that huge one back in the 1800s. We talked about that last week. So we talked about that as well. But yeah, we have the solar eclipse coming up June 10th. We'll see if that correlates with some high or low in the market, or some other weather patterns and so forth. And just as an aside, there's a lot of other stuff going on. We got increase in volcanic activity, some increased earthquake activity going on. So there's a lot of things that we have to monitor in the next year or two that could affect the market, our weather, our agriculture, and so forth. So the short-term answer to your question is we got the solar eclipse coming up, and we'll keep tracking what's outside our Earth's atmosphere every moment we can. There's a great website out there, spaceweather.com. It's spaceweather.com for those of you who are interested, who want to track some of the stuff that I'm tracking. They cover the asteroid activity, they cover the solar flare activity, cover a lot of things that are outside the Earth's atmosphere that will have and has had effect on us in the past, and will continue to impact us in the future.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us.
It's always fun. Thanks, Jim. Talk to you next week.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.